Can you recall a moment in your life when you realized you had positively affected someone's life, but didn't know it until sometime later?
I can't think of the specifics, but I can, and I don't remember the person, but I remember sort of the situation. There was a young person who was in one of my classes when I was at Universal, and it was when I was teaching the lead and supervisor classes, and I probably wasn't there for more than a couple years at that point. And I saw them 10, 12 years later, just recently actually. And they said, it was because of you that I wanted to stay in this industry and move up into a leadership role, and keep going. And that was just an amazing feeling. Because a lot of times when you have a group of 30 people or so, there's a couple that you connect with pretty well, and you try to connect with everybody, if you're with them for 3 hours or, a week or whatever it is. But you don't always know how you connect with them, and you don't always know what it is that you might have said that had an impact or was going to drive them to do something else, or maybe it was something you didn't do that had an impact, or something that you did but you didn't say but didn't do. It's the whole whole environment, and so that experience really it leads me to keep going. And even if I don't know outright, right in the moment, what kind of impact I might be having on someone, if I keep going and I keep trying to be positive and I keep trying to provide value out there, then it's gonna have a positive effect on someone. And if I'm in a group of 30 people and I can reach one person, then that's who I'm meant to reach that day. So that was probably the time that I realized that I had that kind of impact on someone.
It's interesting for me because when I have an opportunity to sit in and listen to your sessions, I always find so many great little snippets that I can take away and employ, and I'll think back. I will think back, not necessarily specifically to what it was you were talking about, but I'll be reminded in some flash that oh gosh, Matt. I remember when Matt was talking about this, and this really makes a difference, and this really is working. So, I think to your point, we never know when we're maybe brushing something across somebody that will, and I find that so interesting because in your particular line, I think in human resources that sometimes HR sadly gets a bad rap because people tendency to think of the negative connotations that are very often connected with that particular department.
Sure.
They forget that that's the same department that hires them in and does the training and makes sure that the employee engagement is facilitated and that sort of thing. They think more on the I'm in trouble again, or is this am I getting walked out? Which is also part of the job.
Yes.
But I think that from your perspective, you must have had I can't even imagine how many people that you have spoken with over the years that are carrying little gems with them that you have imparted, and they're using it every day.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot, and it means a lot to hear that you even someone of your stature and experience. I might say something that has an impact on you. That means a lot to me as well. So thank you for mentioning that. One other time that I think it's really interesting, because I write my blog and I put an article out there, and as I research what people say you should and shouldn't do on your blog, they say it's great if you have a lot of interaction and you have a lot of comments and things, and quite frankly, I don't get a lot of comments on my blog, but where I get the feedback is when I show up at IAPA or I'm at WWA or something, and somebody said, "Hey, I read that blog, I printed it out, I showed it to my whole staff." That's the only feedback I need. That's enough to keep me going and keep me wanting to write more. So,
well, isn't it nice when you're walking, like when you are at Expo and you're walking around and somebody comes up to you and says, "You know what? That session you did last year was so great. I took that away, and it, and are you doing something like that again this year?" I think that's the kind of thing that really it bolsters your spirit. It makes you feel like maybe I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes,
Maybe
yes,
I'm going
exactly,
in the right direction.
exactly.
But I also think too that, and I had an interesting conversation with somebody the other day about this, that, I feel like I've been so fortunate in my career, and I've gotten to work with so many wonderful, amazing people, and some people that were challenging to work with. But for every experience, I've come away with something, and I don't feel like I don't feel like those experiences are mine alone. I feel like if I have an opportunity to share, because I've been there, done that, positively or negatively, that it's almost a responsibility to be able to pass that along, to either keep somebody moving forward, or maybe help them avoid a pitfall that I've already experienced.
Right. And
sometimes people just get too closed-lipped. They're not as willing to share sometimes. So I appreciate when people are really open and candid, because I like to keep learning, and I will share as much as I possibly can if it's going to benefit somebody.
And I think that's one of the great things about this industry, is that we do share a lot. I mean,
overshare sometimes.
Sometimes maybe a little bit, but I've done a little bit of work when I stepped out on my own in banking and healthcare and stuff, and those industries just don't share. They don't play well in the sandbox together. But that's one thing that I hear over and over again, and I experience over and over again, is the willingness to share best practices or information, or how did you deal with this kind of employee when you had them, or we're short staffed, or we're feeling like we're having to hire just bodies. How do you get over that? And I mean, people really are willing to share those type of things, which I think is what kind of keeps us all going. And one of the things you mentioned, I thought it's an interesting parallel, I think, between kind of what I do working for myself and on my own, and leadership, because I think a lot of times in leadership, you don't always get sort of the feedback and pat on the back that you would have gotten as a frontline employee. At least that's sort of the trend, and so you have to find your satisfaction in
Sure.
wherever you can find it. You grab onto it, and working for myself and by myself, like I said, there's nobody, walking around patting me on the back when when I write a good program at home or I send a good email. But when I do have those little encounters, I really chalk them away, and I say, this is the feedback that I need to strengthen me and keep me going. And I think leaders are, even in a large organization, can be largely in that same boat. You have to find your satisfaction somewhere else, and take the feedback where you can get it.
It can be surprising when you get a thank you from somebody, because I think for myself, I've kind of just gotten into the habit of not expecting that. That's not an expectation anymore. It's kind of like, that's my job. That's what I have to do. But the surprising thing is, like with the guys I'm working with right now, I'll get an email from one of them saying, "Hey, that was really great. What happened today? You did a good job." And I'm like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" Because it's not, it's different. It's not something I'm used to. And so I relish that as a team member. I really appreciate that, because I'm really just doing my job and doing the best that I can for the organization, and the mission that I believe in so much that we're doing.
Right.
So to get a little bolster, little cheer, rah, from everybody is, it's nice, because it also makes me think, yeah, maybe I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point, that no matter what level you're at, everybody needs it.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
So that's good food for thought, I think, for anybody who is in an upper level leadership position, that even their leadership team needs it, and certainly they do too. So I think that's a good takeaway from that as well. Thanks for watching this episode of Leader Tips Q&A. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when new episodes come out. If you have a question for me, or if you'd have a question that you'd like to see addressed on a future episode, go ahead and put it in the comments. Thanks for watching.